morning, and thank you all for coming. I'm happy to be here with Minister of Jobs, Economy, Trade and Immigration, Joseph Schow, as well as Stefan Rutkowski, President and CEO of Careers. And I'd also like to thank Perry and the team at Classic Landscapes for hosting us here today at their beautiful greenhouse, an Edmonton institution that's been operating for almost 50 years. In that time, generations of young Albertans have got their first employment experiences here, helping customers in the garden centre or out in the community doing landscaping. A first job is a critical component of starting adulthood. But right now, thanks to the mismanagement of our immigration system by the federal government, youth are being left out of the economy increasingly. Alberta is still a land of opportunity, but misuse of international student visas and the uncapping of the temporary foreign worker program, particularly for low-skilled workers, have led to thousands of young people being unable to find employment despite sometimes applying for dozens or even hundreds of jobs. The federal government must immediately make major changes to their immigration policies, or we would risk failing an entire generation of young Canadians. Our government believes that every young person deserves the chance to build something meaningful and life-changing, whether that's finding their first job, exploring a new career path, or seeking out a change of pace. Unfortunately, right now, too many young people are being shut off from this critical stage of their development. I, as you know, have been touring the province all summer, chairing Alberta Next engagement sessions and hearing directly from Albertans. And something I hear a lot is concern about youth unemployment. This isn't just an Alberta problem. It's affecting young people across Canada. A recent report from Desjardins stated that youth unemployment consistently exceeds the national average, with the unemployment rate of 15 to 24-year-olds being more than twice as high as those between 25 and 54, a gap not often seen outside of recessions. And according to Statistics Canada's July Labour Force survey, Canada-wide youth unemployment is the worst it's been in almost 30 years. When they can find work, youth are more likely to face limited access to stable full-time work. They are overrepresented in part-time, seasonal, and precarious work. Statistics Canada found that in 2023, more than 40% of self-employed youth were gig workers, as compared to 26% of self-employed core-aged workers. It's tough all over right now. And Albertans have serious and well-founded concerns about this situation. When they see the young people in their lives apply for hundreds of jobs and hear nothing back, when they see their loved ones cycle through an endless loop of hope, rejection, and disappointment, that's a major issue. We know that unemployment early in a career can have lasting effects, and our government is taking it seriously. The years between age 15 and 24 are so important. It's when a person builds the foundation for their life. Is when they develop their worldview. We want young people to see the world is full of possibility. We want them to see a future for themselves. That's why I'm happy to announce today that we're investing $8 million to create the Alberta Youth Employment Incentive. This new incentive will offset the training and hiring costs of Albertans between the ages of 15 and 24, giving employers some financial stability and giving Alberta youth that all-important work experience. We're offering this incentive in partnership with Careers, a long-standing nonprofit that helps young Albertans explore their career options. This incentive will enable 1,000 employers to hire around 2,500 young workers, and we think that'll go a long way towards addressing this challenge in our province. There is a combination of factors at play here that includes high population growth and uncertainty for the future. Our hope is that the Alberta Youth Employment Incentive will give kids that chance and is a step towards addressing youth unemployment in Alberta. There are employers that want to hire young people, that want to give someone that first job and let them start their careers. To the Alberta employers out there, I strongly encourage you to take us up on this incentive and to take a chance on the young people in our province. This is the next generation of Albertans we're talking about. I think most working Albertans will have vivid memories of the jobs they worked early in their lives. For many, it was flipping burgers or serving coffee, working at a summer camp, selling popcorn and movie tickets, working at a grocery store or retail, or cleaning up the grounds at Callaway Park or K-Days or the Calgary Stampede. Whatever it was, those jobs gave us valuable experience. They gave us a taste of real responsibility and being accountable to a team. They gave us confidence. And most importantly, they paved the way for every job we've gotten since then. That hard-earned experience set us up for more responsibility, gave us a wider set of skills, and opened doors in whatever career direction we've chosen for ourselves. Nothing builds self-worth quite like taking on a challenge and succeeding and then building on that success. And the jobs we work when we're young are great for that. This is your future workforce, the future of your companies, and your legacy. Taking the chance now to invest in that future will come back to you many times over as we build a strong economic foundation in our province for the years and decades ahead. We want to help you now because a bet on Alberta's young people is always going to be a sure thing. And with that, I'd like to invite Minister Joseph Schow to share a little bit more of the details.
Well, thank you, Premier, for those opening remarks and for your tireless advocacy for youth employment in this province. We have identified a problem and we're taking action because of your leadership. Thank you. I also want to thank the Classic Landscape team for hosting us here in this incredible warehouse. This is a beautiful place. I might have to pick something up before I leave. Perry, thanks for having us here. And also want to recognize Stefan Rutkowski, President and CEO of Careers, and thank them for the part they're playing in this announcement. I often think back to the jobs that I had as a youth and a young adult growing up, and as many do, I reflect on the lessons that I learned and how those shaped the person that I became with the supports of employers throughout my life. Growing up, my grandfather and I had a very close relationship, and we bonded over building things, woodworking and such, and so the first job I had was working at a hardware store, hoping to learn more about the tools that I would be using. But I realized the best lessons I learned there wasn't just about the tools, but rather showing up on time, wearing clean clothes, doing my hair, and how to communicate with people. And those lessons I've taken throughout my life. And I wouldn't have had those lessons without that first opportunity and someone taking a chance on me. The reality is helping young people learn the valuable skills of work sets them on a pathway towards success, while also providing them with a paycheck to meet their needs. But the unfortunate reality is Canada is facing rising challenges with youth unemployment. While there are many contributors, we recently saw a report just last week from Desjardins highlighting some of the issues Canada has faced. A sharp rise in youth temporary residence has dried up many parts of the job market, specifically for jobs that would typically be done by entry-level workers. We also know Alberta has the fastest growing population in Canada among youth 15 to 24. This alone creates significant competition for young workers, especially those entering the workforce for the very first time. We also hear of extra costs as a result of raising minimum wage and other expenses as they have pushed more employers to look for cheaper ways of operating, including automation, which we often see in the form of self-serve kiosks at restaurants and grocery stores. The fact is, young Albertans deserve an opportunity to prove themselves in the workforce and start on their path towards a successful career. Our new Alberta Youth Employment Incentive. We're excited to be kickstarting job opportunities for young people who call our province home. An investment of $8 million will help businesses have the confidence they need to bring more youth onto their team. With this incentive, employers will have the opportunity to receive funding from our government, helping offset the cost of hiring and training youth between the ages of 15 and 24. Beginning in October of this year, employers will be eligible for one of two incentive amounts: $4,000 if they hire one or two young workers for a combined total of at least 400 hours, or $7,500 if they hire 3 to 5 young workers for a combined total of at least 750 hours. It is expected that the funds will help approximately 1,000 businesses hire 2,500 youth across the province. With an expected launch of October of this year, employers will be able to apply for funding through Careers, and you'll hear more from them in just a moment. Their experience and oversight of this program will help ensure payment can be made timely and employers have the support they need to answer the questions that they may have. On top of this, we want youth to be recognized for their hard work and demonstration of valuable skills in the workplace. That is why we are developing a digital badge for youth who have worked a minimum of 200 hours and passed a skills verified employer assessment. This is something that can help employers build trust in younger workers, as it can be highlighted on resumes and online profiles such as LinkedIn, giving employers a quick reference to know that this youth has already shown valuable characteristics in their ability to work. We look forward to sharing more details on this program further down the road. Now, the Alberta Youth Employment Incentive is by far the clearest action any government in Canada has taken to address youth unemployment, an issue that affects every major jurisdiction. This is one more major step we are taking as part of Alberta's job strategy, which I announced just last week. And we look forward to seeing the positive effects it has on the lives of young Albertans throughout the entire province. Thank you very much, and I'll now introduce Stefan Rutkowski, President and CEO of Careers, to deliver some remarks.
Good morning. What an incredible day for Alberta, and what a privilege it is to be here. And thank you very much, Premier Smith and Minister Schow, for your remarks and for inviting Careers to be part of this very, very important initiative. I'd also like to briefly just recognize our board chair, Jim Cato, is here joining us today. He's been instrumental in setting up the organization. He was one of the founding partners, and it shows that this close collaboration between the organization and the government has led us to where we are today. For those who may not be familiar with Careers, we are a non-profit organization that has been working with Alberta schools, industry, and the Alberta government for close to 30 years, providing over 45,000 paid internships for youth across the province. Over these 3 decades, we have worked with over 11,000 employers. So we are very well aware of the challenges that industry has, and we are well aware of the opportunities that this initiative, that this incentive provides to employers across the province. What we see every day through our partnerships with industry is truly inspiring. Business aren't just preparing the next generation of leaders. They're gaining immediate benefits from the innovation, creativity, fresh perspectives, the technical skills, and the innovation that youth brings to the workforce. In fact, last year, a survey showed of our employers that over 92% felt that there was a great benefit of hiring youth into their organization. And these aren't just numbers. They represent real young Albertans taking their first step in the work, and both the Premier and Minister Schow commented on this. And they provide employers discovering their next workforce and real talent. And this initiative will help us even further expand the benefits to a broader group of industry and businesses across the province. For employers who already recognize the value of hiring youth, this provides additional support. And for those who need assistance in recruiting and may have not so far employed youth, this is an opportunity, and we are here to help. It's what we've been doing for over 3 decades, or close to 3 decades. But this investment goes far beyond supporting businesses. It's about Alberta's young people, many of whom are struggling to find that crucial first opportunity. These youth represent Alberta's future workforce, and it's essential that they find employment to gain confidence, build valuable experience in their early careers, and get their first start. This investment will help them do this and build a foundation for their long-term careers. And lastly, I believe this initiative represents what we do best in Alberta, solving problems. By bringing together government, industry, and our future workforce, we create real opportunities. It's a win for employers, for our youth, and most importantly, for Alberta's future. Thank you, and I would like to invite Perry Stothart for some comments.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. It's a great opportunity for us to participate and host everyone here today, and Premier Smith, of course, and Minister Schow. It's great to have you. And you know, it's interesting for me because I have sort of an insider perspective on the power of opportunity. And I know as a youngster, I was 19 when I started here at Classic, and I was on the end of a shovel on one of our landscape crews doing commercial and residential landscaping. And I've built a career and a life from that. And as I was preparing for this and reflecting on the literally hundreds and hundreds of youth and young adults that we've had work with us over the years, you know, I was reminded even of one young woman who worked here as a teenager. And she went on to law school and actually got her first job because on her resume it said she knew how to drive a Bobcat skid steer loader. And it was something, a skill that she'd learned with us, loading customers, and it was something that set her apart and was unique and made her seem special to that firm that gave her that opportunity. And we never know where these opportunities are going to lead, so it's exciting to see this initiative and how this program is going to roll out and really benefit young Albertans. So I'm excited. And thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you. We'll now enter the media Q&A portion for our event. We'll be taking one question, one follow-up. For the media, please state your name and outlet before asking your question. We're going to start off with a question from the phones, and we'll come to our mic in the room here. Operator, could you put through our first caller, please?
We have a question from Chris Varco from the Calgary Herald. Your line is open.
Hi, this is a question for the Premier, and it's off topic. Premier, you had your meeting yesterday with the Prime Minister Carney. What assurances did you get from the Prime Minister that an oil pipeline is going to make the major projects list? There are reports that it's not going to be on there. And I guess, what's your reaction to the fact that it does not appear to have made the first cut?
I would say that my meeting with the Prime Minister was about as encouraging as any meeting I've had with the federal government in a long time. I think he really understands the issues that we put on the table, and we're working through how to address them. I've talked about the grand bargain, and it really has three elements to it. I want to see, of course, a pipeline to the BC coast, the Pathways project, and also some of the bad laws that are impacting the investment climate. And so it's taking us a little bit of time to work through that, but we're making great progress. I understand that the Prime Minister is looking for a next tranche of major projects to be announced by Grey Cup, and I'm really hopeful that by then we'll be able to have something to share. Okay, and just to clarify, did you get assurances that it will be on this second tranche of projects that will be approved? And separately, how would you assess the reports that are coming out about the list from Alberta's perspective, including it appears as though Phase 2 of the LNG Canada project will go ahead, and there's some suggestions that the Pathways plus carbon capture project could be part of the next wave? Well, I can tell you that when I looked at the first 5 projects, I thought, finally they get it, because it's all the projects that have been difficult to build. It's mining projects, it's LNG Canada, and I think that demonstrates a real shift in the focus of this government. I've seen that the Prime Minister has talked about supporting both conventional and new energy, and I think we're seeing that with some of these early announcements. And I would just ask people to be patient. I mean, we went from having chased away $500 billion worth of investment over the last 10 years. You can't turn that around immediately. And so to have 5 major projects this quickly, with the promise that through the Major Projects Office, located in Calgary, with led by Don Farrell, who does actually have some experience in building a bitumen pipeline to the West Coast, I think people should be encouraged that they've got the right person who's assessing those projects, and that they're heading off in a good direction. We have a little bit more work to do to address the overall investment climate, and that's what we're going to be working on.
Thanks, Chris. We're going to come to our mic in the room now. Go ahead first with the mic.
Hi, Premier. Sean Amato with City News. The leader of the Alberta Republicans says you're delusional on this, that you're backing down to Mark Carney. So was any part of you tempted to get mad, to threaten separation? Because no doubt some Conservatives in Alberta are feeling that way today.
I understand why people feel like the rug has been pulled out from them several times before. I happen to believe that negotiation and discussion is the best way to be able to get to common understanding. And I found more common ground with the Prime Minister when I met with him yesterday than I have with any meeting with the Prime Minister. So I'm going to continue to work through to get our issues addressed, hopefully well before the end of the year, hopefully in time for that next tranche of announcements at the Grey Cup. But I would just encourage Albertans to not lose faith in the process. Let's work together on it, because I think we're all stronger together if we can get to a point where Alberta is supported. It helps us and it helps the country.
The PQ leader is in Calgary today talking about separation and how that's worked in his province versus how that may work in Alberta. What do you make of his presence here, of his message here in Alberta today? Well,
as you know, my very first bill was about Alberta's sovereignty within a united Canada. That's what I've been fighting for the last 3 years, and slowly but surely working our way through some of the issues that have caused tension between Canada and Alberta. And what I've been pleased to see is that the issues that we're irritated by are irritations to every other province as well. Is why I think you've seen some unprecedented cooperation at the Premier's table. And I think it's culminated in this first batch of major projects being announced. And so I'm going to keep on working with my colleagues to make sure that we get the right balance. Confederation, we are one of the most decentralized federations in the entire world. And the problem has been federal overreach. And I'm beginning to see that they understand that. The other provinces are pushing back too, and that's how I think the best path forward is.
Go ahead.
Vakia Baker with the Canadian Press. I was wondering if you can share any more details about Charlie Kirk today, if there's anything else you'd like to share, any anecdotes that you have. Have you ever met him? What did you talk about? What kind of impact did he have on you?
No, I never met him. I have colleagues in the legislature who have, but it was an assassination for somebody who didn't like his political ideas. And it should be roundly and completely condemned by everyone across the political spectrum. It's horrifying, and that shouldn't happen for somebody who has a difference of opinion. We should be able to have differences of opinion, talk it out. Sometimes it gets passionate, I understand that, but there's no excuse to what happened yesterday. It's an absolute tragedy for him and for his family, for his two young children.
Did you have follow-up?
Not a follow-up on that, but ATA obviously announces October 6th strike deadline. Are you able to share any details about how the government is preparing for that?
We are hoping to come to a negotiated settlement at the bargaining table. We have put a very fair wage offer on the table, 3% per year for the next 4 years. We have about half of our bargaining units who have agreed to a similar structure. And we know that with the tight budget that we have, any additional dollars for salaries ends up taking away from our ability to hire more teachers. The union asked for us to pledge to hire 1,000 new teachers a year for the next 3 years. We did, and they broke off talks. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have some constructive conversations over the next few weeks and be able to avoid a strike. But we stand committed to a fair wage settlement, to hiring new teachers, and we also have a parallel process to hire more education assistants. We've got $1 billion dedicated to that as well, to address the issues of complexity in the classroom. We know that those are the issues that teachers are telling us they'd like us to address, and that's where we're prepared to do some more work and do some more investment. And I hope we can come to an agreement, because it would be very, very disruptive to kids, their education, and their families if the teachers walked out on October 6th. Thanks.
Yesterday, the ATA president talked a little bit about the conditions in schools. He talked about there are some classrooms that are dealing with, teachers are dealing with unprecedented classroom sizes. Some students are learning in hallways. He said boot rooms and libraries. Are you aware of these conditions, and what is your reaction to them?
Well, it's why we launched an $8.6 billion program to build new schools. You have to have more spaces, and I'd encourage you to talk to the school boards, because they have really met us where we needed them to be, accelerating projects and working closely with their municipal councils to get those approved. So we're very happy that we've been able to accelerate that. But the issue around complexity is hiring more people. We have to hire more teachers, and we have to hire more education assistants. And that's why we have, I think, a fair wage settlement a proposal on the table. But we also have to make sure that we're not sacrificing our ability to hire more people by having a wage settlement that's out of line with what we've offered to our other public sector unions. So that's has been our message from the beginning. Yes, let's work together on figuring out the right number of new teachers and new education assistants to hire, but we think our wage settlement or our wage offer is very fair.
Catherine Rutkowski, Alberta. I have a couple questions on behalf of a colleague. You talked about opening an office in Dubai and about DP World potentially opening an inland port near Edmonton. Can you expand on that and give a sense of if DP is feeling hesitant given the current global market?
Well, we've been. I mean, I don't know if you want. Have you talked to DP World in your new role? Do you want to talk a little bit about some of their aspirations? Yeah. Well, if you're talking about the conference I was at this morning, they were asking me where I see the opportunity. And aspirationally, that's where I see the opportunity. Is if I've seen DP World Port's operations, Port of Prince Rupert. In fact, the mayor of Prince Rupert was there, and he's very pleased to hear me speaking so enthusiastically about Prince Rupert. I've talked with CN about expanding their They're siding so that they can get more product moved there. I know that there are many businesses that are oriented around Port of Prince Rupert. And so it's sort of natural to try to talk with them about how their business model works. And I think what I mentioned is that the business model for DP World is a hub and spoke model. So our current rail system, you load it on a car and then it arrives at a destination. Hub and spoke means everything comes to one center and then it can go north, south, east, and west in multiple directions. So I think if we can offer that, whether it's in Edmonton or Calgary or even in other major centers across the lines for CN or CP, I think that that's a wonderful value proposition. So I'm not the only one talking about it. I know the mayor of Calgary is talking about it. I know that the idea of Port Edmonton has been talked about since Stephen Mandel was the mayor of Edmonton. So I was just expressing my support for that proposition, and hopefully we can do our part in trying to make it a reality.
And was opening the office in Dubai to try and convince the company to do the project, or had they already made that decision to come here and express interest?
Well, it was going to be in Abu Dhabi, which is the oil capital of the United Arab Emirates. I know that Saskatchewan has one in Dubai. And when we first went to Dubai for the COP28 conference, I was just floored by the incredible presence that Saskatchewan has built because of having that office there. We had a business reception, and there were 300 businesses there who were doing who had a business in Saskatchewan and the region. And we thought, we're missing an opportunity here. So I think there's a return to the UAE twice. I'll be going again, or one more time. I'll be going again for the ADIPEC conference, and that's just how you continue to build trade ties. What I like particularly about what the UAE has done is not only do they have about a comparable amount of oil production each year, they have a sovereign wealth fund which has, and several that have invested in Alberta, and as well the model that they have allows them to have access for the transport of goods all the way through the Middle East, through India and Africa. So that's a pretty good partner to have and a pretty good opening of world markets. And that's what this is all about. And we've been talking about this now since the elections in the United States. How do we open new markets and have new opportunities? And that to me seems to be the very best opportunity for us.
We have time for a few more questions. I see two more at the mic there, and we'll try and get back to the phones. Go ahead.
Connor Hogg, CTV News. Earlier over the weekend, you were mentioning that you were looking for real movement on the 9 federal policies that you said had pummeled Alberta's economy and oil and gas industry. I was wondering if, in your meeting with the Prime Minister, if you saw that movement.
Yes. We're making great progress on addressing each of those issues. Everybody is looking towards trying to find as I said, I call it a grand bargain, how we can improve the investment climate and get some of these projects built. And so we're moving in that direction, and we hope to be able to work out. I've got a couple of areas where we might have a little bit of a different perspective that we're working through, but I've got some senior people at the table having those conversations, and as does he. We're both very committed, I think, to coming to a common understanding so that we can get these projects built.
And you had also previously listed several requests that you wanted of the federal government and timelines for when you wanted those met. Do you still believe that they will be met?
Before the end of the year, I do. I mean, if all continues to go as well as our recent meetings, I would expect that well before the end of the year, yes, that we would have something to announce.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Emily Williams, CBC Edmonton. You mentioned the Alberta Industrial Heartland Conference that you were at this morning. It's also been said that the Prime Minister would like to see some private investment for a pipeline to go forward. So I'm wondering, what are you hearing from industry about what needs to happen for someone to step up and get involved? Yeah,
I mean, I think we agree that if it takes the federal government stepping in to build a pipeline, that's not success. It's a way to get it done, but success is having enough confidence in the private sector that they step forward to build it, because they can do it more efficiently, they can do it faster, and they have the relationships not only with the producers but also at the end with the market. So you do want a private proponent to advance these, but there's no point in building a pipeline if you don't have investor confidence to increase production. The way pipelines get built, it's a bit unique. The pipeline proponent lines up companies that are willing to pledge barrels, Companies won't pledge barrels if they're facing emissions caps, tanker bans, net zero power regulations, greenwashing bill that might put them in jail for talking about their emissions success. So there is a bit of a chicken and egg problem. As I am confident that if we address those underlying conditions to improve the investment climate, that a private sector proponent will have no problem lining up producers, and we're prepared to help in any way we can to make that easier, to work with the permitting, to assist in getting it on the project list, to work with the federal government to address their issues, to work with Indigenous partners to ensure that there is an Indigenous ownership component. We now have a mechanism called the Alberta Indigenous Opportunities Corporation that can help in that regard. So there's things government can do. We're not just going to be a hands-off bystander. We're going to be actively engaged in bringing partners to the table. But it does take the federal government taking those first steps, and then I think we can work collaboratively and get some proponents to come forward. I can tell you this, every pipeline company I've talked to, when we talk about the best options for a new pipeline in Canada, they all say a bitumen pipeline to BC. It's just so obvious that that's where the new markets are. That's where when Trans Mountain got built, I think everybody thought all of the product was going to go to the United States. Well, now more than half of it is going to Asia. And the Korean refineries like it so much, 3 of them have pledged to buy 1 million barrels a month, and they want more. So that's the proof. Once you get into the market, people start talking about your product, they're happy with it, then you can expand markets, and that's where we find ourselves now.
And as a follow-up, I suppose when you're at these industry events and talking about these things that you would like to see the federal government change, how are people interested? Do you have any industry partners who have expressed any interest?
I would say that everybody is really hopeful. That we went through 10 really bad years of having policy that undermined investor confidence, caused projects to be canceled, caused investment dollars to flee to the United States, not just in the tens of billions, in the hundreds of billions. And so I can understand why the industry is skeptical, but that's our job as politicians, is to work out the arrangements so that they can have confidence to invest again. And so the proof will be if Prime Minister Carney and I are able to address those issues to the satisfaction of industry, and I think we're well on our way.
And we just have time for one more question. We'll come to our mic here.
I just wanted to ask about the municipal election here in Edmonton. We're hearing a lot from mayoral candidates about concerns with the relationship with the province. I'm wondering, right now, what do you make of the state of your relationship with City Council?
Oh, I've got a call later today with Mayor Amarjeet Sohi. Now, I know he's not running again, but I feel like we've actually been able to work together very well. We've done some major initiatives in Edmonton. It started with the commitment with the Edmonton Police Service to work with us on clearing encampments and setting up a new navigation center. We also have had success in building out new, and again, the mayor was very strong on this, new 24-hour overnight shelters. So we had more shelter space during the winter, where we followed the lead of the Edmonton business community in partnering with the city on their plan to build more housing and densification in downtown, as well as on the old expo site, as well as building this new events complex. So when I look back at my relationship, I think it's been very positive. The mayor also, he's a strong advocate.
Well, and to be clear, this mayor didn't say anything. It's mayoral candidates that were just kind of saying there needs to be a better relationship with the province. So moving forward with a new mayor,
I expect whoever wins will have the same positive relationship as we've had. I think that it is the job of a mayor to advocate on behalf of their interests. Mayor Sohi and I haven't always agreed on everything, but I can tell you he's been a very effective advocate, and he's moved the dial on a lot of important issues. So I would hope that we'd have a similarly constructive relationship with whoever wins.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for questions today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.